Well, Brian, what a game at Old Trafford. Manchester United 2, Liverpool 4. We've covered, lots of Liverpool-Manchester United games. We've covered lots of games this season. That was probably as good as any of them have been.
Yeah, I can't think of a match that was as exciting or as open. A lot of good football in it, a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors. Neither team had any great sections of control where you felt they look really comfortable, they look compact and composed and on top of it right through the field. Both teams look vulnerable defensively, and the scoreline tells that tale as well. 4-2 and lots of other chances and instances around the penalty areas. But exciting game to watch, to commentate on, and just a pity there weren't people in the stadium to witness it. But a big result for Liverpool in the circumstances. They're not having a good season. Poor record away to Manchester United. I mean, look, if you're going to play away to Manchester United, it's better to play away than when there's nobody in the ground. And that's their sixth home defeat. That tells a tale that, there's no one in the ground. There's no passion. Opposition can go there and not feel any great threat other than the reputation of the place and the history of the place. But there's no one there's no one abusing the referee or abusing the opposition. So that's their sixth defeat at Anfield. And yet, extraordinarily, they're unbeaten away from home. But Liverpool deserved winners tonight, and they coped well with the two young centre backs against Manchester United's much vaunted front four. They just about got away with it. They're defending at times, but in attack they were excellent in attack. Fabinho, Salah, Jota and Mane contributed when he came on.
With half an hour gone, I didn't think you'd be sitting here saying that Liverpool were deserved winners tonight, because Manchester United were 1-0 up and Liverpool were really struggling to get the ball out of their half. Those two young centre halves looked very unsure of themselves. In fact, that seemed to be running through the team, and they hadn't really got the front three involved at all in the game. What changed?
Well, eventually a bit of quality they had in the midfield, I think, got them into the match. They didn't try to... The centre-backs weren't as ambitious, I think, in possession as they were early in the game. We saw early instances where the goalkeeper, Alisson, tried to play it out to Williams in a position where he wasn't going to be able to do it, and Cavani almost stuck it in the net. We saw the other centre-half, Nathaniel Phillips, running with the ball and running into crowds and losing possession or kicking into touch. I think they began to trust the midfield, play it in through the midfield, or else play it forward straight away to the front three, either behind or to their feet, and they became much more effective. They got through that. They got the full backs forward, and Alexander-Arnold had a really big influence on the game, and Robertson on the other side. They were like a bit of a throwback to how they were when they were at their best, when they were beating everyone last season. And I think as the game went on, they got better. Obviously, when they got the 3-1, they got a bit nervous, and you start thinking about the defenders again. United come into the game, threw a bit of caution to win with the substitutions, ended up getting a goal and almost got a third goal. But Liverpool improved through the match and then got the vital fourth goal to wrap it up when it was 3-2.
I'd imagine Trent Alexander-Arnold was delighted in a way when he saw that Manchester United team sheet and it was Paul Pogba out on the left-hand side rather than Marcus Rashford out on that left-hand side. Was it that what enabled him to be so effective going forward?
There's a couple of ways of looking at that. The position Pogba takes up is he can be a bit awkward to mark, because if you're the full-back, you go in after him and leave the flank open to, say, for instance, Shaw tonight, and expect your own wide player, which would be Salah on that side, to get back with him, or do you leave Pogba to one of the midfield players on the inside and you just go and attack from the right back position? Now, that was how it worked out when they got themselves into the game. I thought early on Pogba was doing all right in possession. He was being creative and trying to thread passes through the defence. But as it went on, it became more Liverpool playing the ball out into that open space for Alexander-Arnold to get there. And then he's very effective in possession. His passing is precise. His crossing was very good tonight. And I think that was it was an important advantage to Liverpool that Pogba didn't track as well as he could, and equally Rashford didn't on the other side either.
He's quite divisive, Alexander-Arnold, in that when things don't go well defensively, he can be quite exposed. He's found himself now out of the England squad after last season being talked about as maybe the best right back in world football. Where are you on him as a player?
Well, I think when you demand of your full backs that they are maybe the biggest creator of goals for you. If you demand that of your full backs, well then you have to put up with a little bit of defensive vulnerability, I suppose is the term I'd use. It's very hard to be both, to be the best attacker. I mean, if you look at the Manchester United pair, you'd say Wan-Bissaka is a great one-on-one defensive right back. Now, in recent time, he's been more adventurous, I think, attacking. You see on the first goal tonight, he's in behind the Liverpool back four, cut back to Fernandes. Fernandes shots deflected in the net. But at times tonight, he was also caught out badly. He was caught out already in an advanced position when Manchester United are chasing goals and Liverpool are able to play the ball in behind them. So it's getting a balance of both of those. Where I'd be on it, I have massive time for Alexander-Arnold. I'm a great admirer of his. I think what he's done as a young player, is he 21, 22? 21 still. He's achieved so much in the game already. I think he's a brilliant player, and he seems to be a very good lad. He seems to be a very down to earth lad. Yeah, he had a bit of a lapse this season, and he had a few down days as well where he wasn't as effective defensively and he wasn't effective in the attacking position. But I think his form in recent weeks has been very, very good. And you know, the fact that Southgate can now pick 26 rather than 23 might work in his favour. He might just edge back into that squad. It's hard to see how they could leave him out. If you're looking for someone to help create a goal, if you're chasing a game against top-class opposition, you'd be hoping he's in that advanced position up wide on the right, in that flank wide right position. How can you whip in across from there? Look at his delivery on the set piece to go before half-time. Sensational delivery. Put that right onto Firmino's noggin. Just put that into the net there, and he did. So I like him.
Somehow, after the collapse that Liverpool have endured over the last 4 or 5 months, they still have a chance of finishing inside the top four. It seems to change day on day, week on week, that they're in, they're out. Now they know that if they win their last 3 games, they've got a very, very strong chance of getting there. From what you saw tonight, and you see the teams that they're playing against who don't have anything to play for, do you expect them to get the job done?
Yeah, well, I kind of felt before the match tonight it'd be very hard for them to win 4 matches in a row. But looking at them tonight, I think that was the most difficult one. Squad-wise, can they be as badly off now for the rest of the games they were tonight? I don't think so. I mean, they've had to stick with that young partnership in the centre-back positions tonight. They also hadn't even got the option of Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita in the midfield area, which I think is what's forced them into playing Fabinho in midfield. They had very few options around there. Curtis Jones is a good option, in fairness, and he had a nice impact on the game when he come on. But with a couple of players, you would think they'd have a couple of players back. Obviously Henderson's not around either, as well as the 4 centre backs. With a couple of extra players, I think, well, West Brom is the next one up. West Brom are down. Sometimes when teams are down, they lose all sense of restriction, and they just go for it, and they can be very awkward. But given the quality Liverpool had, I'd expect to beat them. That's the next match-up. Then what's to go on to Burnley, is it? But Burnley, you know, you can never take a match against Burnley for granted, that's for sure. What's the last game?
Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, sorry. Palace scores the last game. And, you know, Palace have done enough. Great job. Maybe Roy Hodgson's last game, still always a threat with them in attacking positions. Benteke's playing quite well. Eze in the middle of the pitch. Zaha, they've given Liverpool trouble before. They've stopped Liverpool achieving in the past, as we know. But, you know, I think they're well capable of winning those 3 games now. Not on their form this season, but in the form of the last couple of games. I think they look like they understand how important it is for the club and for the future and for Anfield to see Champions League matches again next year. But it mightn't be enough. But I think if they win the 3 games, it will be enough.
A lot of people raised their eyebrows a few weeks when Gary Neville was talking about Harry Maguire's importance to England, that maybe he was more important to England than Harry Kane was because they had nobody who could step into his shoes if he wasn't there. Did tonight prove him right from a Manchester United point of view, that if Maguire's not there defensively, there's a massive drop?
I've always felt that people were too hungry, I would suppose, to criticise Harry Maguire and look at his deficiencies rather than his qualities. And we know in the earlier part of this season he had a few rough days and a few bad games. But you know, you had to be remembered he had gone through a fair bit of old trauma in the pre-season, the off-season, and in the around the international period as well. So I think that was understandable. But I think you're right about his influence. I think there's real leadership quality in Harry Maguire. I think the fact that this is the first game of the season and the few minutes he missed when he went off injured against Aston Villa was the first minutes he missed in the season shows how strong a character he is. I'm sure he's played with a lot of knocks and bumps through the season, got out and played. But, you know, if there's a deficiency through the middle of the Manchester United defence, I don't think it's with Harry Maguire. You can pick on him and say he isn't the sharpest or most mobile on the turn. But if you add the other qualities in that, his strength, his physicality, general comfort on the ball, his ability to run the ball, to run through the middle, run into the middle, to pass the ball well, to deliver the good long diagonal balls to the front men coming in, he has a lot of really positive qualities, and there aren't that many better than him around. And if United are going to strengthen in there, I don't think it'll be his place that'll be at risk.
When we're talking about United making that next step and strengthening, there's often a focus on maybe a number 9, a holding midfielder, or as you say, a centre half alongside Maguire. Do they need a new goalkeeper?
Well, I think what they needed to do was to play Henderson and find out. I think we were saying that maybe a dozen games ago that Henderson was obviously very unhappy in the role he was in. Leaving Sheffield United where he was playing regularly and coming to Manchester United, and with some expectation that he was going to be given a proper go as the number 1. So they had some mixed form. He gets his chance, and up until now I think he's played quite well. There were 1-2 goals he let in the Europa League where I would have questioned him, where I thought that he was inclined, when the ball was in around the 6-yard box at corner kicks and there was headers, he was inclined to duck down and make himself smaller rather than make himself bigger. But putting that aside, so far he's made very few mistakes. But tonight he hadn't got a good game. He was certainly at fault on Firmino's second goal, the third goal in the match. Interesting times ahead. Are there other goalkeepers out there that Manchester United could sign that they would guarantee would be better than either? I'd say no. I think there's a lot of clubs looking for a goalkeeper. You look at how long it took Chelsea to get Mendy. Spent a fortune on Kepa, and he ended up not being the real deal. They had to go again to get Mendy. He's in. Spurs looking for a goalkeeper. I think too. Manchester City obviously happy enough at where they are. Arsenal certainly looking for a goalkeeper as well. So it won't be easy for them to get someone who is definitely better than what they have. But interesting to see what they do, whether they try to offload De Gea, keep Henderson as number 1. But I think tonight was the first kind of chinks in Henderson. But maybe we shouldn't be too harsh on him. Times he was getting bombarded.
Yeah, and while it's Manchester United against Liverpool, it's a huge game. It's not Manchester United's biggest game between now and the end of the season. In fact, the result will make little or no difference probably to where they finish. Does that for you excuse the looseness of the performance, or would it in any way concern you for what's coming a couple of weeks down the track with Villarreal, because they've now lost twice in the space of 48 hours, which they should never have even had to play? Yeah,
and they lost to Roma last week as well in the second leg, so that's that's three of the last 4 games. So I would have never taken that they were going to beat Villarreal easily anyway. Villarreal have shown their mettle in beating the English teams in this competition. And they won fair and square against Arsenal. They probably should have won the first match easier, but they coped with Arsenal in the second match rather easily. The manager has a way about him. He would like to put the record straight against another English team in the final. Unai Emery, great record in this competition. 3 wins with Sevilla, a final with Arsenal that didn't go well against Chelsea. But I think they will make it awkward for Manchester United. But Manchester United, with the quality they have, they should beat Villarreal. The worrying signs for Manchester United: the goalkeeper didn't do well. They conceded goals, conceded a lot of chances. Bruno Fernandes, the patchy game. Pogba, the patchy game. But that's the style of Pogba, and that's the style with Fernandes. I think lately, I think he's been overplayed. I'm sure they look at the stats and look at the signs, the science records and what.
56th appearance of the season for United.
Yeah. You would think that it would have been wise to leave him out of some of the Europa League games when he played. Even the second game with Sociedad, I think when they won the first one 4-0, they played him in the second one. But I think there'll be an ease up in the training, not an ease up, an ease up in the work rate to try and get themselves ready for the 26th. They've got a couple of league games to play, but I think their concentration now, having got the Liverpool game out of the way, we saw their attitude towards the Liverpool game in that they rested all the players the other night against Leicester, lost the game. But I think we'll see a bit of a mix and match team. Were they one game to go to?
Two games, Fulham at home on Tuesday, and then on the Sunday before the Europa League final they play Wolves.
Yeah. So in those two games, I think we'll see a mix and match team. I think we'll see players being rested. We saw that the other night that the quality wasn't good enough when they put out the second team against Leicester. They were outplayed, and I think there'll be a bit of protecting the players for the biggest game now of the season for them against Villarreal in Gdansk on the 26th.